Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a sit down chatty video to share with you 10 things I've learned in my life which I hope you'll find interesting and encouraging. And the reason I wanted to do this video was because recently I watched the wonderful Pam, whose channel is Diamond76 Home Decor on a Budget, and she did a similar video where she shared 5 things she'd learned in her life, and I thought it was just wonderful. So I just wanted to join in and also add a little bit more to it as well. So here goes. So number 1 is love and embrace yourself. And you know, over the years, especially from my mid-teens to my early 20s, I spent a long time wishing I was somebody else. I literally hated everything about myself, and that's very sad. And I think that stemmed from experiencing some bullying at school, and it just absolutely crushed my self-confidence, and my self-esteem was so low. And looking back at photographs of when I was sort of 15, 16, that age, I could see that I wore so much makeup. I was caked in makeup. It was almost as if I was just wearing a mask to hide my own feelings. And it was a really horrible time, especially when I first left London and moved to Milton Keynes. I was so lonely. And I found myself really going from one relationship to another in my quest to find love, I guess, and that to get that feeling of being desirable, because I certainly did not have very good feelings about myself, and I was hoping to find that through the relationships that I was in. So, you know, that was completely the wrong way to go about things. So it's taken me a good 20 plus years, you know, to be totally comfortable in my own skin, and it has been an ongoing process. So by the time I met my husband at the age of 28, I had consciously been single for 6-7 years, because I really needed that time to find myself, as cliche as that sounds. So by the time I met my husband, I had a fair idea of what I wanted, but I definitely knew what I didn't want. And I guess now, you know, our marriage is the best that it's ever been, because I think, you know, we've come to learn that we are together as a partnership because we love each other and we want to be together, not because we can't live without each other, because we definitely can. As awful as that sounds, you know, but do we want to live without each other? No, of course not. You know, so we are together for the right reasons, not because we are sort of needy. And so I think it's really important that to have a fulfilling relationship, you first of all need to be secure within yourself and really value and love yourself, because you really do have to take responsibilities for your own happiness. And if you are constantly hanging your happiness on somebody else's shoulders, then inevitably at some point you will always be disappointed or even heartbroken, because no human being can ever live up to your own expectations. So I think you really do have to take responsibilities for your own happiness. And I think I have done that, you know, over the last sort of 20-30 years of really getting to know myself, to be happy in my own skin. And so I'm glad now that, you know, my partnership with my husband is good. We work well together. That's not to say that we don't have rows. Of course we do, like any normal couple. But at least I think over the years we've learned to really cherish each other and respect each other, because we know we are together because we want to be, not because there's no other alternative. And I think that's what's really made the difference. Number 2, learn to forgive. And I have to admit, that has been one of the hardest things that I have had to learn over the years. And I'm still working on it, don't get me wrong, because I am somebody who can forgive, but I do struggle to forget, right? I am getting better at it. And I think sometimes, you know, when you forgive somebody, that's not to say that you actually approve of what they have done to you. No, not at all. I think forgiving somebody is really just to release the grudge, and it's really for your own sake, not really for the sake of the other person. Because I think harboring so much resentment only leads to hate and bitterness, and that will just eat up, you know, your soul, and that's no good for anybody. So I think really learning to forgive is a great thing. It's the hardest thing, but it's a good thing for sure. And I would like to think that if I had wronged anybody, which I'm sure I have many times over the years, that I would be forgiven too. So I think, yes, learning to forgive. Number 3, health is wealth. And that is so true. You know, over the years, I have suffered many illnesses. I've had a fair number of operations, and believe me, I have got the scars on my body to prove that. But it really serves as a reminder that every scar I have is a battle that I fought and won. And so I do know how important health is, because, you know, when you have poor health, you really do suffer so many ailments, not only physically, but mentally and psychologically as well. So it's really so important to get healthy, because it really doesn't matter how many millions you've got in your bank if you're not around to enjoy it. So now I'm, you know, really conscious of eating well. And I know we all enjoy junk food now and again, but I think the key is everything in moderation. And I'm trying to get active and sort of get myself back in shape, and just to feel good and feel healthy. I definitely want to see my children grow up. I want to see my grandchildren grow up and be an active, cool grandma. So yeah, I definitely intend to look after myself and try to be as healthy as I can. So health is definitely wealth. Number 4, never stop learning. And I think that is so important, because, you know, the world is forever changing, and we as human beings are forever evolving. And I think it's so important to keep upgrading yourself, learn new things every day, no matter who it's from or where you are, what you're doing, there's always something to learn. And I think that there's nothing more irritating than talking to somebody who thinks they are a know-it-all and they seem to have an answer for everything, when really a lot of the things they say are BS. So I like to think that I'm always learning from people. I like to people watch, because I think everybody has something to give. And even my own kids have taught me a lot of things that, you know, I didn't know. And I think that is, you know, really important, because certainly I never thought that I would have a career change late in my life, you know, in my mid-30s. And so I've had to kind of start from where I thought I was, right back down from scratch, and learn, you know, the basics of a totally different industry. And it has been, you know, a struggle, but I think at the same time it's really helped me to grow as a person, because I think if you don't learn, you will never grow. You'll always be stuck where you are. So it's so important to constantly expand your mind. So for me, the day I stop learning is the day I die. So never stop learning. Number 5, step out of your comfort zone. And I've really had to learn to do this, because for many years I was kind of just stuck where I was. I was working, and this was sort of, you know, from my late 20s to right the way through kind of my mid 30s. I was very much just doing the same thing over and over. And but I was desperately unhappy as well. Although I was getting by, and it was hard, you know, just feeling like I was stuck, but didn't really know how to get out of a rut, so to speak. And it wasn't until I was pretty much given the opportunity to do something new, and I decided, okay, if I didn't take that opportunity, if I didn't seize the day, then 5 years from now, I would still be exactly where I am, and I did not want that. So I decided that enough was enough, and I would just step out of my comfort zone and see what happens. And I think at that moment in my life, I realized, you know what, it's really not that bad. You know, sometimes it's the fear of the unknown that actually stops you from doing what you want to do. And you just end up being in your little comfort bubble. But if you're happy staying in your comfort bubble, then that's fine. But if you're not, then you've got to do something about it. And so now looking back in my life, it's always been, every time I have progressed in my life and achieved what I wanted to achieve, was always when I took a risk and stepped out of my comfort zone. And so that is definitely something that I have learned to do, and I'm so glad that I have. And I would encourage anybody to try that as well. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and see what's out there. Number 6, don't be afraid to fail. I have learned over the years that failure is actually a good thing, because when you fail, you actually get the opportunity to learn and do better next time. And that's how we grow as human beings. You know, we have to accept that there will be times when we will succeed, and equally there'll be times when we will fail. But it's how you pick yourself up after you failed and move on. That's going to make the difference. And I remember, you know, the first time that I was going to go on stage as a public speaker for the very first time, and I was so nervous that I thought I was going to be physically sick. And my brother said to me, you know, sis, just feel the fear and do it anyway. And I think that is advice that I have taken on board through the years, and I think it's so true that you've got to learn to harness your fear and know that it's better to fail spectacularly than not try at all. And I think, in the words of Anthony Bourdain, who was one of my food heroes, he said, don't be afraid to risk a bad meal, because if you don't risk a bad meal, you will never get to the magical one. And that is so true. So don't be afraid to fail. Number 7, kick negativity out of your life. You know, life is hard enough as it is without being surrounded by people telling you that you can't do something, it's not going to work, it's not good enough, you're never going to make it, blah, blah, blah. And you know, you want people who will support you and encourage you in your vision. And share with you every step of your journey. Of course, that's not to say that you should surround yourself with people who just tell you how amazing and wonderful you are all day long, even though at times you know you suck, because then you would just lose all sense of reality. You know, you need people who will give you a true perspective on things and to give you impartial advice. You know, unfortunately, friends and even family will come and go in your life. You may find that people who are there for you during the bad times may not necessarily share your joy during the good times. And I say this from experience, unfortunately. And I've noticed over the years, I've had friends who were absolutely brilliant, you know, when I went through some really tough times, and they happily sat with me and bitched about life all day long because they themselves were in similar situations. However, as time went on and I started to move on in my life and improve, these friends, they became very quiet. And you know, even when I reached out to them, some of them just either didn't even bother to respond, or they just, you know, would find an excuse to not meet up, or you know, it just felt like they wanted to distance themselves from me, and that's a real shame, you know, to think that some people just don't want to be reminded that they haven't moved on with their lives, that they are still stuck where they are. And when they see you achieve some level of success, they can't seem to share this joy with you. And yes, that is a shame, but you know, that's part of life. And more recently, I've had to distance myself from somebody I hold near and dear to me, because to my face, she's always told me how proud and how amazed she was at what I have achieved, and on the surface always, you know, seemed very, very supportive. Yet behind my back, I found out she was just you know, she said some really, really nasty things which I heard with my own ears, unbeknownst to her, and you know, criticizing every aspect of my life, from the way I raise my boys, to my work, to my personal life, to even, you know, starting my YouTube channel, calling me an exhibitionist. Just totally uncalled for. And that really hurt me very deeply. So I've had to basically distance myself from this person, even if it's just on a temporary basis, because I just feel, you know, at this stage of my life now, I'm almost 46, you know, in a few months' time, in less than 3 months, I'll be 46. And I don't think I need to explain and justify myself to anyone, nor seek anybody's approval. And I just can't deal with any drama and nonsense. I just can't deal with that, you know, because for me, life is precious, and I don't want to waste my time having to deal with crap like this. And so I've chosen to distance myself just for my own sanity, really. So if you're in this situation where you feel you are surrounded by people who are just very negative towards you, whether it's family or friends, then I think you need to question whether it's time to move away and maybe mix with a different circle of friends who will really support you in both the good and the bad times, not one or the other. So definitely you need to kick negativity out of your life. Number 8, never give up. I don't know if you've ever heard of the story of the Chinese bamboo tree, and it goes like this. You have to plant the seed, the bamboo seed, in the ground, and you have to water it consistently every single day for 5 years. Yes, 5 years. And within a relatively short period of time, I think, you know, within a few months or maybe less than a year, it will sprout out a few leaves, maybe just a little stem like this. But then you have to keep watering it every single day, and then nothing really happens for 5 years. But then all of a sudden, within, after this period of 5 years, it will suddenly shoot up 90 feet within 6 weeks. And I think sometimes life is like that. You know, you work and you slave away day after day after day with sometimes, you know, no results to show for, and you question yourself, am I doing the right thing? Is this really going to work? Am I wasting my time? But you have to persist. If you believe in what you're doing, you have to persist and you have to be consistent. You have to keep watering this seed. And then, you know, sooner or later, you'll find that you will shoot up and fly, you know? So I guess the question is, does the bamboo tree take 6 weeks to grow or 5 years? And I think the answer is definitely 5 years, because within this long period of time, you have to, through the constant daily watering, it's actually doing a lot of work underground, and it's actually spreading its roots and planting its roots down on solid foundation. And that's what it is, you know, when you are working solidly every single day, you are setting your roots down so that when you are ready, you will fly. So be persistent, be consistent, and never, ever give up. Number 9, do what makes you happy. You know, sadly, over the last few months, I've had 2 friends diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and one other friend who suddenly suffered a stroke with no prior symptoms at all. And life really is fragile. And I really think that you owe it to yourself to do what makes you happy. You know, don't worry about what people will say or what people will think. It doesn't matter, because it's your life. And for me, I know that when I started this YouTube channel, you know, at the age of 45, I'm not so naive as to think that I wouldn't be opening myself to criticism or ridicule. But so what? You know, it's something that I actually enjoy doing, and actually through creating videos, I've actually come to make some new friends around the world, you know, from the Philippines, from the States. I've met some lovely, lovely ladies that I never thought I would. And that's only a good thing, you know? And it actually takes my mind off work, and it's almost sort of like a release for me. So I do enjoy it, and I see absolutely nothing wrong with it. So if people want to criticize, then really the problem lies with them, not me. And, you know, there are still so many things in my life that I want to achieve, that I want to do, and I definitely plan on doing it. So, you know, make time for yourself. Do things that make you happy. And you might say, oh, I really don't have time. I'm so busy. I'm constantly running around like a headless chicken. You know, I've been there, but we all have the same 24 hours a day. And if there is something you really want to do, then you will make time. So, you know, be happy, smile, tell people that you love them. If there's still something that you need to say, say it. You know, don't live with regrets for things that you have not done because you were too afraid. Make each day count. You know, people say you only live once. Well, I prefer to say you only die once. You live every day. So make sure you do what makes you happy, and, you know, well, as long as it's it doesn't hurt anybody, you're not hurting yourself, and it's not illegal, then hey, just go for it. Last but not least, always be thankful. Every single day I am so thankful for all the big things in my life, my family, the fact that my parents are still both healthy and strong. I get to see them whenever I want to, and they live nearby. I'm thankful that my family are so loving and supportive. My children are healthy. I have a wonderful husband, and I'm living in relative comfort. I'm so thankful for all of that, but also for the little things in life. Every time I turn on the tap, I'm thankful that I have running water. I'm thankful that when the weather is absolutely freezing, I can turn the heat on and just snuggle up in my comfy blanket in front of the TV. I'm thankful to be able to provide for my family, put food on the table. I'm thankful to be able to just, get out of my house and be able to drive in my car. I'm thankful that I have work and my career, and I have friends, and just everything, and believe me, I know how blessed I am. And I've been through some very hard times in my life, and even during the toughest times, I never stopped being thankful, because I always knew that, God has a plan and a higher purpose for me. And I never stopped believing that what God has started, God will see through to completion. And so I feel like I'm on this journey, and I'm very excited with, where it's going to take me, because I know that there's still a lot more to come. And, there'll be trials and tribulations, but I will never stop being thankful for everything that I have, everything that I was able to do, and all the battles that I have fought in the past, and yet I'm still here. And yes, so, if you're in a situation where you feel that it's not where you want to be, just don't lose faith, don't lose heart. Just trust that sometimes you have to go through whatever it is you're going through in order to get to where you want to be. So just trust in the process. Believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and just be thankful every day. And that's it. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and found some of the things that I've mentioned relatable and encouraging. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, then please consider subscribing to see what else I get up to. And I'm not going to tag anyone on this video because it really is open to everybody. So if you want to do it, please do feel free to join in, as I'll be so interested to learn what are some of your life's lessons as well. So thank you so much for watching, and do take care. Until next time, don't forget to smile. Bye bye.